Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm here for the weekly update for Crane Mountain Gaming. This week we're going to talk about the Quest module. This is kind of an important addition to the game because quests give you a way to engage with the content and engage with different content and add an extra layer of meaning to the things that you do along the way versus just, grinding, sending your explorers out and crafting and stuff. It's nice to receive rewards along the way. And it's also a mechanism to guide you through the game, at least in the early stage. So I've wiped the database, set up a clean slate, and we're going to start a new character, and I'm going to show you kind of the orientation quest chain, which will explain how quests work, let you see the quest tracker and how the rewards are assigned. And then along the way, that'll probably cause me to run into a few other changes and improvements, which I will call out. The Quest module is also important from a design perspective to give me a mechanism to do repeat, time-locked, or daily quest type things to create engagement with the game, give you rewards as you play that may move you further along if you're not playing as frequently as someone who's grinding, etc. And it also is a vehicle for story elements as well. So pretty good kind of groundwork. If you've played any kind of RPG-based game or anything like a Hearthstone or pretty much anything like that, League of Legends, etc., they're generally daily quests or daily reward type things where you can complete a certain number of types of tasks or do certain things like craft things at a certain tier or do certain types of exploration, etc. And those will kind of unlock a reward, and then in 24 hours they'll reset or whatever that cycle is. So similar kind of concept there. So I'm going to launch into the game. Hopefully I did this correctly because I screwed it up a couple times before. But I am so I'm into the client now, and I'm going to show the quest tracker module. So right now, when we start a new game, we have only a single quest. So this is a new application in the Yukari interface, which is this quest tracker. And one thing you'll notice here is that I added names to these. The icons alone weren't sufficient. And these are not likely to be the final icons, but just things I'm using as placeholders right now. So mail, recipes, etc., perks, you can open and close these different interfaces. So this is highlighted because it's the the selected quest. So when you only have one quest, it automatically highlights and shows it. So we're on step 1 of 5 of the orientation quest, which says the first step to running a successful enterprise is finding the light switch. Just some placeholder text. So the orientation quest gets assigned to every new player. Right now it's auto-assigned before you log in, but what will happen is once the account management framework is in place, you'll log in. It'll deliver you to the quest and prompt you to go into Yukari and take a look. And then this will be set up as a way to get you through the first few levels, reward you with some experience and credit, and also show you the basic mechanics of the game and help you prep so you don't send your first explorer off to their doom. So the first step in orientation here, we have to equip a frame. And this basically means we only need to do this once. So most of the orientation quest is we're going to do each of these tasks one time, and then the stage is complete and the quest will advance. But you can imagine for a daily quest, for example, which is like craft a certain number of rare portal cubes and then explore them. Each of those stages may have a requirement of like 3 or 4 or whatever that number is. So basically what happens is when you complete one of these tasks, it updates progress. And then if the progress completes that stage, it moves it to the next stage of the quest. And if there are no further stages, it'll move it to the next quest in the quest chain. And if there's nothing else in the quest chain, then you're done with that quest chain. And of course, whenever you complete a quest, whether it's part of a chain or not, you'll receive some kind of reward, which right now are credits and experience, but may eventually be, items or other benefits as well. So we're going to do this orientation quest here. So we need to hire an explorer, and we need to equip them with a frame, which says there may be one in your stash. So I'm going to hire an explorer here. Who do we have? We have William Sanchez, who is going to head over to the stash, and we're going to grab a frame. And I'm going to grab some other items as well because I know what's coming in this quest chain. So we're going to get the laser pistol. We're going to get a blank portal cube. We'll get a dull one, a couple power cells, we will get this shock stick, and we'll get this crude frame. So 7 items in our inventory now. One thing I'll mention is you'll see the Explorer is not sort of wandering about anymore. I actually removed that function. Short version of that is it created a lot of edge cases and strange interactions and things that I could compensate for, but it's really not worth dealing with right now. It doesn't add enough to the game, in my opinion, to be worth the complexity. So it reduced a bunch of complexity, bug scenarios, and other sort of odd behaviors by taking it out. Maybe it'll come back, maybe not. But also, I'm not previewing the art yet, but the new location art and the design, shapes and sizes are different, so the milling about makes a lot less sense in the geometry of what is likely to be the final art for the habitat in the prototype phase. But all the code is still there in the source code repository. So if I want to bring it back and deal with all the edge cases and stuff, I can do so. So the Explorer's primary interaction now, other than what you tell them to do, is conversation. Although you'll probably see in a bit, depending on what conversation generates, that they're a little bit more realistic about it now, because when they're talking to someone, they actually turn to face them. All right, so our quest tracker says we need to equip a frame. So we're going to equip a frame in inventory. Ta-da! The quest orientation has been updated. And I bet you can guess what the next stage of this is. It's going to be to equip a weapon. So you can see it's completed this stage. 1 of 1 progress. We're on phase 2 of orientation now, out of a total 5. So we don't know what the next steps are yet. We haven't unlocked them, but we know how many are in this quest chain. The other thing that is not displayed right now, and which I may or may not display, is what the reward for the completion of the overall quest is. So there may be a display here showing you the rewards if you complete it, so you can judge whether or not the quest is worth your time at any given point. I think that makes sense, and it doesn't really give anything away, except maybe with items or rare or unique items, but I can work around that. So if you have thoughts or feedback on that, leave a comment, but that's the plan. So we are going to equip an item now, weapon. So quest is updated as well. And now we need to research a blank portal cube. There may be one in your stash, which of course I already grabbed. So we're going to go over here. Notice the research option has gone away because I consolidated everything into the crafting interface. And it hasn't been restyled yet. But basically now you can research items in just the same modal as you can do the crafting. So you can actually research a couple things here and then throw them in and do the craft. So you don't have to go back and forth between the interfaces to research something, craft, research what you crafted, craft the next thing, etc. It just streamlines it quite a bit. So we're going to research the blank portal cube, and it says quest orientation updated, and we've unlocked a new recipe. So I'm going to pop in here real quick. Obviously we can see our quest tracker has advanced, so we're on stage 4 here. We need to combine the blank cube and a shock stick in order, and that will produce a result. But we also have a recipe in our recipe database here, which is we can create this dull cube by combining the blank portal cube and the shock stick. So basically, as we learn recipes, this is going to fill out. And I'll research something else here just to show how that works. This isn't part of the quest chain, but we researched the dull portal cube. And this is actually showing the item key now and not the item name. That's just laziness on my part, so I'll get that cleaned up. And there's a minor duplication bug I ran into here before. I don't know what causes that, so I need to figure that out, but it duplicates on the first launch. I think I'm not cleaning up the items in the list. But anyway, now we have an additional recipe in the database, so this is going to continue to expand. And eventually you'll need to be able to do things like filter it, search it, sort it, etc. We'll deal with that when the time comes, but that's not critical for the prototype right now. So we're going to add a blank portal cube and a shock stick as instructed by the quest, and we are going to craft an item. So there, we've actually crafted a dull portal cube. Quest orientation is updated. Now, of course, I have tons of these because of my cheater inventory, but this would be the main way to get going in the actual game. So for safety first, we need now to send an explorer to the shop to purchase a power cell. And again, I have gajillions of power cells, but That's because I'm cheating. So we're going to go to the shop and buy a power cell. And if you're new to this, a little bit of context here. Right now, obviously the locations have just total bad Photoshop placeholder art, but also the transition between the locations is instant. There's no animation or travel time involved, which will be an element that's added in once the art and the scenes and so on are completed. That's not something I want to do instantly because in testing I need to move people back and forth quite a bit, so introducing travel time will just slow down my testing. So there's the rationale for that. So we need to buy a portal cube. So we've purchased a portal cube, and now the quest has been updated and completed. We gained 400 experience, and there's a new quest available. So I'm going to go back to the main part of the ship. Because I'm making so many changes to this interface, I haven't updated it to each of the other scenes yet. That's mostly a copy and paste exercise, more or less. But I'm going to do all the quest tracking and stuff here because the other scenes basically only have the mail app at the moment. All right, so we completed that quest, so now we have a new quest called Exploration. With preparations completed, it's time to learn to operate the portal device. So we're going to use a portal cube in the Explorer's inventory to activate the portal device, and good luck to us. So, inventory, use a portal cube, off we go. Now those messages update and they don't persist between the scene transition, which I need to fix. I tried a few stabs at that before, it was a little tricky. So we'll get that updated. But so now we have our person exploring. I'm going to pop back here because, as I mentioned, the updates aren't in the other scenes yet. So next phase of this is bringing home the water, which is a play on being a breadwinner or bringing home the bacon. So we're going to earn water credits by selling an item to the shop that was recovered from an enemy. Visit the shop, sell a material recovered by Explorer. So we actually need William Sanchez to defeat some enemies here and recover some materials from them. And then when he completes and returns from the exploration, we're going to sell that to the shop and advance the quest chain. So I'm going to keep this going, talk about a few things while he finishes exploration there. But you get the gist of the quest tracker, which is, using these chains to assign a progression of quests. And they'll be sort of the main orientation and then kind of storyline quest sequence, as well as some ancillary quests that you pick up and potentially daily quests as well. And those are ways to gain experience, level up your player, unlock rewards, etc., in addition to leveling up your explorers and making them more powerful by, increasing their level from exploration, gaining items, and doing crafting, and so on. So, a couple other things going on. I spent a bit of time on Monday meeting with and hiring an accounting firm to do my tax preparation and filing. Not something I want to do entirely on my own since it's a distraction from the core business, and also taxes are not my area of expertise. So I have a professional dedicated account rep who will assist me with handling the business and personal taxes, all of which get way more complicated than they used to be with the easy forms in the past. Looks like we finished exploring here, and we have an item, small tardigrade hide, we can sell to the shop. So actually I finished this recording later today. I'm meeting with the dedicated rep I've hired for the first time to do all the, discover the right documents, make a checklist of what I need, give them the information to start making recommendations and preparing filings. Another thing is I need to establish loan agreement, which is the basis by which I can inject my personal money into the business to fund business operations, a startup. The loan agreement is a vehicle basically to create a conditional repayment plan to myself. This basically tracks it as not a donation, but something where the business being financially successful, it ends up with an obligation to basically pay me back for that loan, which is overly complicated, but it's a way to legally protect that and recognize it as an investment in the business rather than just a bank transfer or a donation or something like that. So that'll be an interesting process. These are the things I'm kind of learning about a new business as I go. So juicy details on that. If there's anything interesting, I'll sort of share what I learn along the way. But if you have questions about that side, not just the game, but the business and the finance side, and you're curious about it, consider doing something yourself, I'll be available for that. And I will also probably blog about some of these things periodically on the website, which is more or less done, and which I may launch or announce in a separate video, Facebook, Twitter post, etc., which includes contact information, sort of bios, a little bit of sneak previews, stuff like that. So take a look at that. We'll see how that goes, but that may come shortly. So we are going to take William Sanchez to the shop now, and we are going to sell this small tardigrade hide. We're going to earn our first credit here. Congratulations to us. All right. So a bunch of stuff just happened. We completed that quest. We actually gained not only experience but water credits there. Our player leveled up, so we have a perk point to use now. That's our first perk point. I didn't cheat and load 20 of them in this time. It was a little dirty on my part. So we've completed the bringing home the water. Now we're on orientation part 2. So I'm going to zip through this, and then we're going to do some of the other things that just got unlocked. And you'll notice here that our 10 credits have been awarded. So we have 10 plus the one for the tardigrade hide we sold. XP is tracking this, and so on. And there's our level 2 and our perk point and our 100% survival rate. All our stats are tracking nice and straightforward. So we need to hire another explorer. This is still just a placeholder test function, but hiring explorers is actually going to turn into a Yukari interface where basically on the habitat, people have kind of classified ads and job applications that are circulated on the network. So there's going to be an app here where you can actually review applicants, multiple applicants who want to work for you as an explorer. And there's going to be, depending on how it goes, some sort of price, or there's a hiring cost retainer or something to hire the explorer. So it's not just this thing that you can do easily. Probably early on the explorers will volunteer, but as the business goes on, you'll get higher level explorers, but you'll have to generate some income to hire them. They'll come with more stats. They may come with gear equipped, etc. But that's basically going to show up here like a couple job applications that you can review with a little bit of just context and cheek for thematic reasons. So you're going to be able to look at those applicants and pick one and bring them onto the team and hire them as well. So that's going to come into play, but I'm holding off on that until we have the Explorer art done, because that's going to involve an image of the Explorer and a little bit of background and stuff like that. And I'd rather do that once rather than twice. So we're going to get that in place once we have some Explorer art generated. So for now, I'm just going to hire a new person here. So we have a new addition to the team. Freeman Roybos has been hired, and Quest Orientation Part 2 is updated. So second stage of Orientation Part 2, remember we leveled up before. So the quest chain ensures that we gain the experience to level up and assigns us that perk point, which we are going to use in the app and unlock the first perk. And this is going to give us a bunch more credits as well. Boom, there we go. We've completed Orientation Part 2. We gained some more experience, and we've been assigned some credits. So this is going to be the mechanism by which you'll be able to purchase items in the shop early on. Because right now I have almost everything 0 priced just for testing. But when the game starts, you're going to need to sort of follow this quest chain to earn the rewards. You need to really go in and buy out the shop of all of its fancy stuff. So we have this perk unlocked, which if you've seen the previous videos, that expands the perk grid and makes more things available as we gain levels. And we've completed that, and we've actually completed the whole initial quest chain right now. I think I just bumped the microphone. Sorry if I blew out your eardrums. So we've completed the entire first quest chain here. So there are no quests active in the tracker. And this is basically because I need to design and create additional quests. But we've gone all the way through the orientation quest chain. So there you go. That's an introduction to the Quest Tracker module. Hopefully you get a sense of how this works. It's very similar to quest tracking in a lot of games. There's not anything particularly innovative that I've done here, but it's a kind of a critical element. So sorry, background noise. I keep getting robocalls from people wanting to sell things to my business. So there you go. That's the Quest module. So the next step with respect to quests is to design a bunch of additional quests. And this is part of the general, we're making good progress on the mechanics. So one of these weeks, maybe next week, maybe the week after, will be a whole bunch of content design, which is, making items, creating more enemies, loading all those in, testing some balance, building a bunch of quest chains, etc. I may do more quest chain on the story side and then work on the daily quests. I may invert that. Haven't decided what's most appropriate yet there. But we're continuing to work on some of those mechanical things and content design things from a back-end perspective as the progress is made on the art front, so that once the art is done, we can come in and revamp the scenes, revamp the explorers, put this job applications in, and all these other things which really aren't effective to touch until we have the art in place. So that's where things stand now. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have questions about the business side, the game development side, or just the game itself, leave a comment. You can interact with me through comments on the video itself, or facebook.com/Crane Mountain Gaming, or Twitter at Crane MT Gaming. All of those are available, and then I'll note the website as well, which has a contact form and information for getting in touch with me as well. So plenty of ways to ask questions or give feedback or make suggestions if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and hope you have a great weekend. Thanks.